Okay, so we are going to go through the 7th grade expressions, equations, and inequalities unit for my students here. First thing we're going to work on is combining like terms with negative coefficients. So combining like terms just means that any variable like x or y, if it has a power like squared, all of those we add all the coefficients together and we get some number. Or if it has a different power like y cubed, then that is not a like term, it's a different term, and we're going to add all those coefficients together. So let's see how that happens. Okay, combine like terms to create an equivalent expression. So we have negative k plus 3k, and we want to combine like terms. So I can see this is k to the power of 1, and this is k to the power of 1, even though we can't see the 1, still to the power of 1. And I know this is negative 1 times k, and this is 3 times k. So here I have 3 k's. It's like I have a k here, and a k here, and a k here. And here I have negative 1k, and it's like I have a negative k. And a k and a negative k are going to join together to make what's called a zero pair. And then they make 0 together. So what we're left with is 2k. Let's go ahead and put that in. How many questions do we have on this one? It looks like we have 7. Okay, let's go down here. We have negative n plus negative 4 minus negative 4n plus 6. So we're going to combine like terms, and that means we have some things happening. So here I have a negative n block, and over here I am going to subtract. We'll do that in a second. Here I have negative 1, negative 1, negative 1, negative 1, and that's 4, negative 4 altogether. And over here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6. So I've got negative 1, negative 4 plus negative 6. So these two make a 0 pair, and these two make a 0 pair, and these two make a 0 pair, and these two make a 0 pair. So we're left with plus 2 here. And another way to think about that is 6 minus 4 is equal to 2. Okay? So here we want to subtract negative 4n, but we can't subtract that out. All right, we can't subtract out negative 4n because we don't have enough negative n's. So I'm going to add some 0 pairs. Here's an n, and here's a negative n, and here's an n, and here's a negative n, and here's an n, and here's a negative n, negative n, and here's an n, and here's a negative n. So these are 0 pairs, so I didn't really change anything. This is 0, this is 0, this is 0, this is 0. So I'm going to subtract the negative 4n, so now I can subtract those out, and I have these left over. And then I can see that these are 0 pairs, so this becomes 3n. There are 3 n's. And another way to think about that is negative n minus a negative 4. People will say that minus a negative is the same as 4, and this is negative 1n, so negative 1 plus 4 is 3. All right, so what do we have? We have 3n plus 2 when we get done. We get a new piece of paper here. Okay, I'm going to keep using this this model here. Negative 4r minus 2r plus 5. So here I have negative r, negative r, negative r. I'm going to use these, pretend they're like blocks, right? So there it is, minus 2r, but I really don't have don't have 2 r's to get rid of, so I'm going to add some 0 pairs here. Negative r and plus 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so first thing I can see is if I subtract 2r, I'm going to subtract out these, and I'm going to be left with all of these negative r's. How many do I have? I have 6. And then what do I have here? I still have 5. And the other way we can look at that is negative 4 minus 2r, and negative 4 minus 2 is negative 6. But that's why this works. Sometimes people are confused about why that works. Okay. Let me get a new piece of paper here. All right, so we have negative 3k minus negative 8 plus 2. So over here I have negative k and negative k and negative k. And here I don't have any negative 8. I don't have any negatives to subtract out, so I'm going to add in 1 negative 1. And I'm going to do that 8 times. Drawing. That's 4. This is easier with a computer program where you can drag them in. But then we can't change the variable names, and that might be confusing. I don't want to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Plus 2, so I'm going to put 2 over here. Okay, so I'm going to subtract negative 8, so I've got negative 8 right here. I'm going to subtract that out, take that off. What am I left with? I'm left with 8 ones, and so that's going to be 10. Okay, and I still have this negative 3k over here. And another way to look at this is minus negative 8 plus 2, and minus a negative is the same as a positive, so 8 plus 2 is equal to 10. That's another way to do it, but that doesn't really tell you what's happening there exactly, so I want to make sure you know what's happening instead of just how to do it. After you get good at it, you can just do it. But I want you to think about it. Okay, so here I've got 4z minus negative 3z And so I'm gonna make my blocks here. There's a Z block, there's a Z block, there's a Z block, and there's a Z block, so I have 4 of those. And I can't subtract any negatives because I don't have any negatives, so I'm going to put some zeros over here. Negative Z. Z and negative Z together make 0. Z and negative Z together make 0. And Z and negative Z together make 0. So now I have 3 negative Z's, and now I can subtract those out, and we can see that I'm left with these Z's here. How many do I have? I have 7 Z's. And another way to look at that is 4 minus negative 3 all times Z. Factor that out, and then that's the same as 4 plus 3, which is 7. So we'll get with 7Z. Alright, so that's another way to do it. And that's probably the way you'll do it later when you get really good at it. You can do it that way now if you understand it. Don't have to draw out a model, but if you're confused and you don't know what to do, you should draw out a model. Don't be embarrassed about that. Figure out what's happening. And if you figure out what's happening, then it's really easy to move forward in math if you know what's happening. If you don't know what's happening, then you just have to memorize a lot of steps, and then eventually you can't remember all the steps, and then you're kind of stuck. So here I'm going to add negative 2. Here I'm going to add 2 p's. And here I'm going to add 3. Okay, so I'm going to have negative 4p plus this 2p, so I can see this negative p and p, that's a 0 pair, and then here's another 0 pair, and then I'm left with 2 negative p's, and here I can see that negative 1 and 1 are a 0 pair, and that's a 0 pair, and I'm left with 1 there. Another way to look at that is negative 4 plus 2 times p minus 2 plus 3. And negative 2 plus 3 is 1. And negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. So that's another way to do it. And if you understand that, and you can do it that way, not a problem. Just go ahead and do it that way. All right, we're going to be on our last one here. Negative 5r plus 8r plus 5. All right, so I'm going to put in 5 negative r's here. And I'm going to put in 8 r's here. 3, 4, 5, there's a lot of r's. 6, 7, 8, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yes, and I need 5 here, we have plus 5, so there we go. So here I've got a 0 pair, negative r and r, and here I've got a 0 pair, and a 0 pair, 0 pair, and a 0 pair. So what do I have left? I have left 3r, and over here I've got 5. 3r plus 5. So another way to do that is negative 5 plus 8 times r plus 5, and negative 5 plus 8, or 8 minus 5, is equal to 3r plus 5. That's the other way to do it. Okay, so that's our combining like terms with negative coefficients. Remember to use this algebra tiles model. It's a great idea to keep using tiles and integer disks and all those kinds of things until you really, really understand this problem.